That's, you know.
Yeah,
Like a sending stone, maybe.
that'd be cool.
Because then we can still keep a little bit of stealthiness and relay information and kind of like tactical stuff back and forth.
Sending stones are pretty expensive.
Look who's back.
A high quality walkie-talkie.
Yeah. Sending stones are a 9,000 GP for a pair.
Damn. Man, how much is the cost to learn a cantrip?
That I don't know about. It's not that much for like a wizard.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it'd be cheaper for us to try and find a way to learn message, I bet.
I think the problem comes in there that we're not the spellcasters that normally can use those.
Yeah, that's true.
But a wand of message, since it's a cantrip, would only like have 3 charges, and I don't think it would require us to be attuned to it. That could be a way around it too.
And also, we've got a lot of rogues in the party. Doesn't Thieves Can't have like a sign language component to it?
Oh yeah, that was the thing I was gonna say we could be doing during the downtime, like when we're out and about, is like learning the sign language version of the Thieves Can't.
The whole party, not just the rogues, right? So then
Yeah.
we're like a whole party, and we can communicate, pretty subtly or stealthily without, people being able to pick up on it.
Yeah, you guys could spend a little time, like, teaching some basic thieves can't hand signals to each other. To those of you who don't speak thieves can't or use thieves can't, but I believe that you're right, Ayan, that it does like have a gesture components to the language as well sometimes.
Well,
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's threefold. There's like the spoken language, which takes like 4 times as long. And then there are like written symbols, which will show you like, a safe space to rest or like a fence or something like that.
Yeah.
Like quick hand signals or something.
I mean, the only one who would really need to learn it would be me, since Garn can read lips, so you could just mouth whatever you wanted to say to him.
Yeah, my problem right now is I only know. Well, everybody knows Common, but I need to learn other languages to make it more useful.
What languages do you know right now? Which ones?
Common and Dwarven, because my background didn't give me a damn thing.
Question for you, Mike. What type of bard are you?
I'm a lore bard.
Oh, awesome.
Like, like you could do pretty much anything. So we could probably pretty easily teach him, any language that we wanted to.
Yeah, probably. A lot of skills over here.
I'm guessing there's probably a way for him to pick up message too, but it would probably mean he'd have to do something feat wise or something. I don't know.
I mean, we just went up that level, so I can take it as a cantrip if you think it would come in handy for everybody. I'm willing to swap one out.
Well, it's up to you. I don't want to tell you how to play your character, but it is a pretty neat little.
And you could also pick up a wand of message in the Grand Souk for about 200 gold.
And how does that one work again?
It would work like the message spell, but it would have charges. It's not an actual wand like in the book, so it's just one I'd make up basically. But it would function like any other wand, where it has a number of charges that you can expend to use the message, per day.
Yeah, so I would say the difference between that and doing the cantrip is that if you just had it as a cantrip, you could just kind of spam it. Where you had it with that, it'd be limited,
Yeah,
if oh, go ahead, Scott.
I think what he's trying to say is even if our bard did take it, another person that has the wand, that's 2 people that can, if one of y'all decides to go scout, you can do the message back and we can share the wand around.
Gotcha. But if you basically the guy, whoever has the message, could just be checking in too, because like when it's the way it is like if he sends it out, you can reply to it, kind of thing.
Correct.
So, I mean, it wouldn't hurt, but it's not necessary. If, you use message that way.
Gotcha.
I think I was going to say almost exactly what Scott just said. If I take it, then I would have it and can use it, and then whoever I message can message me back. And then if you get the wand, whoever else has that can message if they need to.
Yeah, it would basically be for emergency.
I don't mind taking it. It's totally fine.
I'm just saying though, because in another group I was in where I had it, I basically just ping everyone, because they can reply to it. So you just like check in with them.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's only 200. It's not a bad price for it.
No, that's a good price.
Yeah, I would call that an uncommon magical item. And some of the varying uncommon wands vary from like 150 to 400 gold. So I basically just took the medium price for that, and I'd say it'd probably have anywhere from 1d6. Well, you can actually roll for it. We can roll for a random one. Let's see. Let's roll for a random one if you guys want to buy one.
I've got 50 I can put in.
So the one that's available in the Grand Souk currently would have 6 charges. It would regain 1d6 plus 1 charges per day at dawn. If you expend all the charges, you have to re-roll, or you have to roll a d20, and on a natural 1, the wand crumbles and the magic no longer works.
Gold 200.
Yeah, 200.
We have 312 gold in the loot bag.
Yeah, let's use some of those copper and
The
silver.
coppers. Yeah, let's use as many coppers as we can.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, 2,000,
we're going to the bank with a bunch of pennies.
2,000 coppers, 20 gold.
Yes, sir.
Then 830 silver is 83 gold, right?
Yep.
Right there.
I'll put in 50. Unless we've got more money.
Just subtract it from the loot page, right?
Yeah, we have
So
price
then,
covered, I think, right?
about 212 gold pieces.
We have 332 gold and 830 silver pieces.
Then
Yeah, let's convert the silver over too.
So 830 silver is what, 83 gold? Is that right?
Yes.
So 415 gold pieces total. So this thing costs 200, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 215 left for the group.
Cool.
everyone gets to hold on to their personal pocket change.
Okay, so what else do we need to do in town?
We're gonna potentially go talk to some of those other merchants about the flying item. And then wasn't there something else too, or no?
I think
I was talking about plate armor, but we don't have the funds right now anywhere near that for me and Sig.
Once we find the plate armor, though, we could see if we could maybe barter services for it as well. So for our next return, maybe.
That's definitely a possibility. Why don't Wuce? Why don't you go ahead and make an investigation check for me?
Me?
Yep. Or
Right, here we go.
and actually Garn, uh, you overhear a conversation here in the Grand Souk. You hear a couple of the merchants nearby talking about. They seem to be weapons merchants, and you hear them having a conversation in low tones about a band of mercenaries called the Flaming Fist, who have commandeered some of the ore mines that and have been making it difficult to get ore to um, smelt and smith into new weapons. Um,
I tell Woose about this. I think we need to go talk to them.
Let's do it.
and one of them happens to be the damn, I wrote his name down and I can't remember it now, but he was one of the merchants that worked for the priests of or the Order of the Gauntlet, the human who somebody I think Rychek had dealt with already once before.
Gotcha.
He's speaking to who another man who seems to be a Chultean native, um, but their shops are kind of side by side. Um, and you know the human man, he's basically mostly just listening to the Chultean native complain because the the Order of the Gauntlet guy, he gets a lot of his stuff shipped in from the mainland, so it's not so much of a problem for him. But the Chultean native is starting to get frustrated because his sales are hurting because he's having a tougher time getting new items in because the some of the ore supply has been cut off as of late from these Flaming Fist who have commandeered some of the mines along the coastline near the port. Um,
So,
and he's saying that it's getting to a boiling point to where soon some of the one of the merchant princes might step in and send a force to go fight them, but he also knows that they're uh, some fairly powerful mercenaries, and he doesn't want to lose. Yeah, Samson. Thank you, Rychek. Samson was the human man, the Order of the Gauntlet. Um,
um, walk up to or stand to the side just a little bit. Wait till the conversation gets to a one of those lull points, and then interrupt.
yeah, and they both kind of stop and look over. Um,
Good day, sirs.
Samson um, gives kind of a curt nod, and um, the Chultean guy kind of looks. He's got a look on his face that's like it's. He finds it kind of rude that you're interrupting on his conversation.
I'm sorry. I did not mean to be rude, but I overheard your conversation a little bit, and uh, we are about to head back out into the jungle, and might be able to help you with that mine problem you have.
Um, he says, "Well, it is not my place to interfere with the troubles, but it is frustrating for my business. If you wanted to speak with somebody about uh, who has influence and perhaps could um, pay you for helping them, I would seek out Xanthi. She is in charge of most of the arms dealing here in the port.
And where might she be?
Her villa is up where many of the merchant princesses' villas are, near uh, um, the damn, I forgot what that part of town. I really need to memorize what all these parts of town are called. But I believe that it's uh, well, up kind of up where near where Wakanga's villa is.
Okay.
Xanthi is one of the merchant princes in the port.
Okay. Thank you so much, and sorry for interrupting your conversation.
Wait,
He
why did you? What's perked your interest in their conversation to begin with?
Uh, they're and me and Wuce walk off. It's the fact that they have it's the weapons person, aka slash armor person. Because if they're dealing with weapons, they're dealing with armor too. We might be able to work a deal out for some a heavy armor for me and Sig.
Well, how do we know the person they're sending us to deals with weapon and armor?
I don't think they would use the name of a merchant prince and give us the wrong information. Plus, the gentleman that was beside her, we've dealt with before, and he didn't tell her that she was saying something wrong, or tell him.
and the in the merchant's ward up where the most of the villas are for the merchant princes is called Golden Throne. And he also says, "No, I apologize for seeming rude. I am just frustrated. Um, but yes, Xanthi would be able to help you if you are willing to go out into the jungles and face the Flaming Fist."
Side quest number 2. Shall we gather the others and go to this merchant prince or princess?
Let's do it.
All right, we go find everyone and head to her villa.
Yeah. Where did everyone go anyway?
They're in the tavern waiting on us to get our butts back.
Yeah, and so basically on Golden Throne, there's one large palace that serves as the meeting place for the merchant princes of Port Nine Zaru. So when they all meet together, there's one large palace that they all meet in. Um, and this is kind of recognized as the seat of the city's loose government. Um, Golden Throne would be the best place to meet any of the merchant princes without an appointment. Otherwise, they rarely meet, and you kind of know this already a little bit from Wakanga. They rarely meet with visitors who show up unannounced at their homes. Wakanga made the exception for you because of Syndra. Otherwise, it would be typical that you would have to try and go to Golden Throne, the palace itself, and make a meeting with Xanthi, with one of the attendants there. And that meeting would be unlikely to happen for probably a few days because they like to um, they tend to like to kind of flaunt their power, and they do so sometimes by just making people wait.
Could we stop by Wakanda's to get a letter of introduction before we go?
Yeah, you could try that.
So do that and then head to the throne or to the new place.
Sure. Wakanga's guards. Yeah, do you guys go? What's everybody else doing at the moment?
Wow.
I've gone to the port and looking for other sailors to train with.
Hey, sailor.
um. Yeah. So when you head over to the uh, harbor ward there, you actually see you look out into the harbor itself, and you can see there's like 3 ships uh, um, waiting to leave the port itself. Um, they have the gates drawn down. Um, there's kind of a long span of chain that goes across the harbor ward itself at the exit and entrance kind of here, and it kind of raises and lowers to protect the harbor itself. And you see um, uh, waiting. You can see this monstrous figure, or not figure, but beast, basically, waiting at the gates where the chain has been pulled up, and these 3 ships are waiting. And you see basically men lining the sides of all 3 of the ships and dumping over the side like coin. Um, and this large turtle, basically looking like to be twice the size of one of these ships itself. Once the men from the ships dump some of this treasure overboard, it kind of dives back down into the water. You can see the large spikes of its shell sink down beneath the bay, and after 5 or 10 minutes or so, you hear the chains start clinking as the gates lower and the ships turn and sail out of the harbor ward to sea.
I mean, with my like, what I that
Say one more time. You kind of cut out for me a little bit.
In Navy talk, that's just say again.
would I know what that creature is with my like sailing experience?
Yeah, you can make a intelligence check for me.
Sure.
You've heard of these creatures. You've never seen one before, probably, but you think what you just saw was a dragon turtle.
And these have like a hoard of gold. They devour gold.
The stories that you've heard about them are one, that their dragon turtles are among the most fearsome creatures of the oceans. They're large and voracious, and the oldest of its land-based dragon kin. They do share some traits with land or air-based dragons in that they do like to hoard treasure. And just witnessing that little exchange there, looks like maybe this particular dragon turtle has kind of a hold over the um, harbor ward here of Cholt, knowing that so much wealth comes in and out of the port, and maybe some of these sailors have made bargains with basically this dragon turtle that as long as they pay him tithe, he lets them pass.
So I will go to the portmaster then.
Yes, Portmaster.
And try to get some more information about the dragon turtle.
Yeah, so you go to the harbor master's office. You see outside of the harbor master's office, which is actually here, right here. There's like a little bulletin board posted up there, basically, and you see there are postings of the whereabouts of several of the wilderness guides. When you go inside, you see a man standing behind the counter, a tall, looks to be half gold dragon. He's kind of standing, poring over some ledgers at the desk there in the harbor master's office. He looks up and greets you as you enter, and he's kind of got a deep, resonant voice, and he closes the book that he's looking through as you come in, and he says, "Ah, a newcomer. I have not seen your face before. Well, let me welcome you to Port 9 Zaru. My name is Zindar. How can I help you today, new friend?"
Hello, Zindar. I'm Riceak. I saw a dragon turtle out in the harbor there across the chains. Is it safe to sail around Cholt?
As long as you give offering to the beast, he will let your ships pass in peace. Yes. Did you sail into the harbor? If that's the case, I need to have you fill out some paperwork for me.
What kind of coin are we talking about for that dragon turtle?
I've seen him I've seen him tear a ship apart, to pieces, on poor offerings before. It's It's hard to say. I've seen him let ships pass with an offering of 100 gold. Um, I've seen him tear ships to pieces for much more than that. He's temperamental, it seems.
Do you know where he lives?
Um, I can't say exactly. I know that he appears every so often. He seems to know when the richest of the ships are coming and going.
Okay. Well, that will be it. I'll send one of the mates down from the ship to fill out your paperwork. I walk away.
Yeah, he
And
just goes back to
I
his.
grab those bulletins of all the guides on the board there, and I try to find the other people.
Okay, sure. You do know that Garn and Wuce went off to the Grand Souk. You might be able to catch them before they start heading off to the villas.
Yeah, if not, then I can just hang out in a bar somewhere until we leave town.
Sure. Sigismund, you're off handing your armor in somewhere to get repaired.
Well, I mean, looking around and realizing it's all the gold I have, then I won't have any gold for drinking. I'll just repair it myself as best I can and try to, spit shine it.
Yeah, spit shine. Give it a spit shine for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll have to wait.
and
I'll just go to the nearest bar after that, I guess.
Glyst, are you up to anything in town?
So I think I'm just gonna kind of walk around the city a little bit, take in the sights.
Yeah, anywhere in particular that you head, or any part of the city that you're specifically interested in knowing or seeing more about?
Yes, I will pick somewhere.
Okay, and let's see, did I miss anybody? Nat, Ayan, what about you?
I think so. Ian is pretty uncomfortable, just sort of hanging out in town. Go and try and get more information on the river. See if there are any other important landmarks up there that we might potentially explore on our way up to Camp Righteous.
Yeah, so I imagine maybe you're just having a conversation somewhere with Azaka.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Maybe even just both of you kind of stayed near the canoes. She doesn't have too much reason to go into the city. I think maybe she expresses during your conversation that she's going to stop in and just say hello to her sister and let her know she's okay, as she does so every time she comes back to the port. Um,
I
but
also want to ask her about her lycanthropy. Like, what's the deal with that? Like,
yeah, she tells you that she was born with it actually. Um, her parents, her parents both had the lycanthrope gene and passed it on to her. She actually tells you uh, uh, it's a little embarrassing, but she was born as a tiger cub, and she had to learn how to transform into a human as part of her growing up. Um, uh, um, she tells you a little bit about her, her life. She says that now both her parents are dead, but she does have a sister who works at the Thundering Lizard here, who does not have the lycanthrope gene. For a time, especially when they were younger, that really caused a bit of a rift between them. Her younger sister was always a bit jealous of that, but now that they've gotten a bit older, they get along pretty well, and her sister, understands that it's not something that she chose necessarily, but it does cause her to not enjoy necessarily being in the city much, and she likes to spend most of her time in the jungles, and um, she knows most of her common tongue from, meeting various travelers and helping them in the jungles before, but some things can be hard for her to necessarily explain or get the whole point across sometimes. She's not totally fluid in common. Um,
Do you find that your lycanthropy is a useful tool in exploration?
uh, she says that yes, it has come in handy many times. When I am in my full tiger form, I feel truly free. I can see farther and smell things that I can't when I'm merely a human. Um,
So besides the social drawbacks of it, are there any other reasons that one would not want to be a lycanthrope?
she says, well, unless you have suffered this curse for a long time, it can be hard to control. If it is, if you are bitten by a lycanthrope and they pass on the disease to you, you might not have any control over when you transform, and when you do, you might tear your friends limb from limb. Your bestial nature takes over, and unless you have a great willpower or have suffered for a long time, you might wake up with your lover, your father, your child's throat in your maw.
Oh, so it is understandably something that you would not wish to spread.
I would never willingly pass my curse on to someone else.
Sorry for this line of questioning. I was just curious.
It is no trouble, I understand. Most people who learn of what I am are always curious. It is something that I have lived with my whole life and I am comfortable with, but it can make others uncomfortable. But you wanted to know more about the jungles.
Please, anything that you know about the River Star or Camp Righteous? On this map, that there is also a point farther downriver called Camp Vengeance.
Um, yeah, she says that Camp Righteous. Uh, oh, sorry, I'm getting a phone call here. She says that uh, Camp Righteous. Um, a while back, a group of men came, warriors, knights, when they heard of the undead troubles here on Chult, and they set up a camp there. Um, it lasted for a time, but eventually it was overwhelmed by the undead. They were short-sighted and believed their faith would carry them through, and they did not take precautions. They did not build a wall. And all of those men, or most of them, were slaughtered. The undead just simply overwhelmed them, and I fear that they now probably wander the jungles themselves. Um, but some of those men who survived moved downriver and made a new camp. This time they learned from their mistakes, and they named that new camp Camp Vengeance, in the name of their uh, deceased brethren, and more of their order arrived as reinforcements. I haven't stopped by either camp in some time, so I do not know of their current conditions, but
Okay, well, that seems like a good amount of information for her to sort of know who we're dealing with and situation is over there at Camp Righteous. We know to look out for the undead now.
she does say also about Camp Righteous actually. Um, in Camp Righteous itself, um, there's an old Choltean shrine in the shape of a crocodile. Um, They call it the House of Man and Crocodile. And she has a story about that, the local mythology, if you'd like. Um,
Yeah.
she says in the early days of the world, man stood by the bank of a river, frightened. Crocodile raised his head from the water and asked, "What troubles you, cousin man?" And man said, "I must cross the river, but I fear to enter the water alone, because it teems with your brethren." Crocodile replied, "It's true, you would not be safe, but I will carry you across the river safely on my back, if you promise to return the favor." And man agreed, and Crocodile bore him safely across the water. When they reached the far bank, man asked, "How can I repay you?" Crocodile replied, "I wish to see the realm of humans, but I fear to go there alone, because it teems with your brethren. You must carry me on your back to cross your realm." But man had been tricked. Uh, a promise is a promise, so he carried Crocodile safely on his back across the entire realm of humans, a journey that lasted many years. He also swore in his anger that never again would man and Crocodile be friends, and so it has remained to this day.
Oh, this is a very interesting story. Is there supposed to be a particular moral that I'm supposed to learn from it?
That's all.
She says, I guess the moral would be careful what you promise. Uh, I've never read too much into the story, but it is what the local legend says about the shrine itself.
Well, perhaps the shrine would have. The moral is go fuck yourself. Perhaps the shrine would have treasure. Maybe this is where the artifact that we have. There was some healing item there or something.
Yeah, she says, um, all that surrounds Camp Righteous is death. I have never investigated the shrine myself, but being on the island my whole life, I do know the stories about it. Um, it it is possible that it could contain treasure of some sort. Um,
Yeah, Ayan is super excited to go.
and so you guys get up to the Golden. God, why can't I remember the name of that?
Golden Throne.
Golden Throne, yeah. And it's easy to spot probably what you believe would be um, Xanthe's villa. Standing outside of the front of one of the tall villas are two suits of gold-plated armor. Um,
Damn.
Where's that on the map again?
So down here is Wakanga's, and I'd say 2 doors down, right before the bridge here, I think is probably Xanthe's villa. The estate is a bit smaller than Wakanga's. Uh, Wakanga's kind of has a sprawling garden all around his villa. Uh, you don't see any guard outside of Xanthi, just the two golden suits of armor. Uh, um, but the gates are closed, and there does not seem to be anyone in attendance in front of her villa. You'd think that probably your best bet is going into Golden Throne itself, the temple here, or the largest structure there on Golden Throne, and trying to find somebody you can make an appointment with Xanthi to speak about the Flaming Fist.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so the interior is actually set up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. kind of in a half circle. When you first enter, there are like seven separate doorways, and then each one is kind of adorned in a different style of each of the merchant princes. One of the one that's probably Xanthi's attendant is pretty easy to pick out. Behind the desk there, where the attendant is stationed, um, uh, above the doors, there are two, crossed big jagged blades. Um, the a woman there that's in attendance is a kind of a younger gal, but she's uh, done up her hair in kind of warrior braids, and she looks kind of muscular. She's not quite Azaka's size, but she's more she looks more definitely more fit. Um, and she's got her head shaved totally bald. And she's got just kind of like a black headband tied around her head. Um, you would assume that this is probably Xanthi's attendant.
So head up to her.
Yeah, and she just says in a fairly decent common, uh, um, you do not look familiar to me. You have business here with Xanthi today.
Yes, we do. We've heard some of the troubles that have been going on in the mines, and we wish to discuss maybe a mutual benefit situation. And we do have an introductory letter from Wakanda.
She looks at your letter, and she looks a little surprised momentarily that you have a letter from another one of the merchant princes, and she says, uh, "I will take this into consideration. I would say that Xanthi will meet with you, but Xanthi is um, uh, currently not in attendance here. Um, she is out dealing with some other issues that have been troubling her lately, but I'd say in 2 days we can arrange a meeting."
We will be in the. We may be in the jungle by then.
Well, if you are not here for your appointment, uh, considering you have this letter from Wakanga, I will not consider it as a slight or offense, but if you miss your meeting, then that is not my problem.
Understood. I will talk to my companions and discuss this, and we will either be at the meeting or not, or we'll send word that we have left town.
Is
But
there the thing that she's attending to? Is it something that we might be able to assist with?
she says, it is not anything that's any of your business, Rat.
All right. Ouch. But I mean,
Rude as fuck.
we've got plenty of skill sets.
And in certain company, it would be considered an offense punishable by death to inquire about the business of one of the merchant princes of Port Nine Zaru. I would watch your tongue.
What? So they're business people, and it's punishable by death to ask about their business.
You get the impression that like it's more that he's just a rat, and
He's a rat person, and he's asking her questions in the light of day.
yeah, and he's just wandered into, like, basically the the beacon of the merchant prince's establishment, and is asking what one of the merchant princes is doing.
I'm probably the best looking rat they've ever seen, though.
That's probably true.
I've got a pretty high
Yeah,
charisma,
yeah,
so
that's probably true for sure.
And that cloak is pretty too.
But she's just,
So she's got confused feelings about the rat guy.
she's mostly just, kind of posturing at this point, and she's not necessarily too keen on the rat asking after her master.
Your loss. Let's get out of here.
All right, let's head out and find the others and see what they want to do.
See, that's how you talk to me. And I leave.
And so do you guys spend a night in town, or do you all get gathered back up and try to head down river? You'd probably have to. It'd probably be nighttime by the time all your business is done, pretty much.
Well, I think we should meet up and at least discuss what we've done for the day before we make that decision.
Yeah, you know, coming into like the later evening. Azaka kind of stays with the besides her brief going into the city, stopping in at the Thundering Lizard to just check in with her sister. She mostly hangs out by the canoes, and just kind of keeps watch on them.
I think Ayan will do the same. He's sort of itching to get downriver and try to find camp, mixing them up. Camp Righteous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, do you want us to relay the message that Garn and I have learned about, or did everyone hear all that stuff about the opportunities, possibly?
Yeah. So
Ayan doesn't have any. Oh, go ahead.
you've got any goblins you come across, you might be able to skin for profit. And you know at least some of the mines which are marked on your map. That the Flaming Fists have kind of commandeered. You know at least where they are. You don't necessarily have a deal offhand to
Make any money, but we could get it on the back end.
Yeah. Um, so you know a couple of things at least that you could investigate into, as well as heading down towards the two camps as well.
Isn't Ayan intrigued by mines, though, too? There might be discoveries.
Yeah, any place that he can go underground and potentially, I mean, not even just underground, but potentially find undiscovered or, lost things. Yeah, he's very interested in that.
And then the three postings for the jungle guides that you pulled off the bulletin board there, Riceak. I'll show these and pop them up into the player handouts. And you can just go over them if you want to.
Oh, this guy's offering to go find a relic called Moradin's Gauntlet. Like something that we would want to get our hands on.
That could be interesting.
Two exclamation points in their first couple sentences, so immediate dislike.
Is that the Pharaoh and Gondolo? Yeah.
Oh, but they have, which is, Is anyone interested in the dinosaur races? Maybe we could hire these guys to not take us into the jungle, but just rent their dinosaur and ride it in a dinosaur race or something.
I have some experience with racing different creatures.
And actually, when you guys came back into town, down through the Tirayiki anchorage, you would actually passed by the dinosaur pens where they house some of the racers.
Also, if we do that, might be able to. I'm sure if there's dinosaur racing, there's got to be gambling. Make some money off that.
People definitely bet on the dinosaur races. Yeah, for sure.
I don't like her virtue signaling in her first sentence, so I would pass on her.
I mean, they all might have maps worth stealing.
Yeah, definitely true.
And yeah, the dinosaur races happen basically once a week.
Already have Azaka services for free, so I mean, hiring another guide is kind of redundant, right?
Yeah.
If we're just looking to stack up as many quests as we can before going into the woods. I think that the one that's offering a quest is the dwarf.
Musharib.
I mean, like
I'm
I
not
said,
sure we
I'm fine.
Go ahead.
Going out into the jungle and just seeing what's up out there. We haven't been disappointed yet, I don't think.
I'd like to check out that Camp Righteous place first, and then we can always come back and take care of these like side errands.
Camp Righteous is kind of a side errand as well. We're in the like third or fifth branch of a side quest here.
Yeah, but you never know. I mean, the Gator Shrine could be an entrance into where maybe the Soulmonger is. It's just hard to say.
I'm good with whatever.
Additionally, Camp Righteous is near Camp Vengeance, and so it's a short trip between the two.
So do you guys head out
Well, David.
you guys decide to head out on River Shosen Star?
Sure.
I think that's the call.
Yeah. Do you wait till morning or do you leave in the night here?
To try and go out and navigate the river at night, right?
Sure, kind of at dawn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it should take about 5 to 6 days on river down to Camp Righteous.
I'll take one of the canoes, the steering or the paddling.
Yeah, and you guys get loaded up. Do you get any just basic food or bug spray or anything else? Stock up any more on that?
Yeah, we'll stock up on that again.
Even though we were gone for like 3 days and we had enough for a month.
Yeah, so you guys get all your get all your equipment and gear packed up and get back on the river with Azaka. She seems after a night's rest and um, visiting her sister and stuff to have a little bit of a rejuvenated spirit, and she seems eager to also get back out into the jungles. You guys travel for a day down river. The first day is fairly pleasant. It's more of a clear day today. The rains have kind of let up for the time being. It's still very humid and hot, but it's nice not to be drenched, to the bone. Um, You notice most of the regular jungle life as you travel downstream. You don't see any wandering undead or anything on your first day of travel off the banks. Um, you do spot above uh, your head a small party of terror folk fly overhead, but they don't seem to notice you guys going down the river. Um, they do seem to be heading though in the direction of um, where the mines would be, kind of up. They're up, kind of flying northwest. They kind of fly up this way, past the river, up in the direction of where these mines and some of the Flaming Fist might be, commandeering some of this area of Cholt. Um, and the
They're
second
pretty
day,
far ranging then.
yeah, they uh, um, it's hard to say whether um, they strictly stay at Firefinger, but you get the impression that they are fairly active on the island. And you haven't seen them fly overhead. You see them every so often, like you maybe see them twice a day fly over the jungles. Um, uh, I think even like one of your sightings of them, they're kind of in an air battle with some of the non-violent, more prey type flying creatures on the islands. Some of the smaller reptilian birds. Um, you see them kind of tear them out of the sky as meals, and on about halfway through your second day downriver, uh, you notice the jungles change again a little bit and become kind of quieter and darker, which signals a little bit to you and to Azaka that you've gone back into somewhat of the undead territory. The jungle does not seem to be as lively as it is on your first day, um, and it begins to drizzle again. The rain starts up, and towards the end of your second day of travel downriver, up ahead, you see what seems to be some sort of makeshift dam or barrier ahead of you. Um, as you come around one of the bends of the slow-moving river, Shosen Star, you can see lining the banks armored men in red cloaks, uh, who um, you hear one of them whistle, and more of the men scramble to the banks of the river, where it seems they have placed a makeshift barricade of sorts along the riverbanks.
Interesting. Do they seem like they're posturing to attack us, or they're just taking like a defensive position?
Um, it's hard to tell as you slowly approach. They don't have like bows drawn at you or anything. Um,
What kind of red cloaks? Was there anything on their red cloaks?
it's hard to tell. They're all facing forwards towards you.
Are they cloaks like the color of flame?
Yep, a little bit.
Fist, and they're just like uh, blocking off the river.
They are, yeah. As you get closer, one of
I'd
them.
like to take I'd like to take one of the boats and paddle it up to shore, like right here.
Oh, okay. As you do so, two of the men start rushing downriver, and one of them yells out to you to halt. Don't come any closer to the banks.
Who are you?
Who we are doesn't matter. What matters is that if you would like to pass, you must pay the toll.
You can. You
What's
guys
the
want to
toll?
pay a toll here?
No.
Suck a dick.
What's the toll?
50 gold per boat.
Oh, what?
I got 50 gold per ball over here.
As they're closer now, you do see that they're Their cloaks are all the same red, kind of crimson red color, and a few of them have um, a golden or a silvered gauntlet embossed in orange flame on the backs of their cloaks.
So, boys, are we going to pay these wankers a toll or what?
No.
Why don't we try and give them these javelins, which are worth no more than like 10 gold pieces or so, but they could.
Sig, can you throw one of these guys a javelin?
Yeah.
Wait, does he say that out loud?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'll pick up javelin and I'll throw it in between the two, trying to make it stick right in between the two.
You're gonna say these javelins are 50 gold pieces each or something? Or
These are
what's
special Lyra javelins. Yeah, they're 50 gold pieces.
You just huck it. You don't say anything.
Yeah, I should probably say something. I say this is a very special spear. They're worth at least 100 gold each. You can inspect them if you want to.
One of
I'll
the
huck it.
one of the two guys walks up to the javelin and pulls it out of the ground where it landed, and he just immediately tosses it into the river. And he says, "This is not a bargaining situation. You can pay the toll, or you can turn your boats around."
You see,
yeah, let's turn our boats around. Yeah, we'll turn around. We don't carry gold on us, so yeah. Oh well, then see you later.
I want my spear. How deep is the water?
You're gonna go for a swim.
I don't think I could swim with all that armor on.
Yeah.
I start maneuvering the canoe to turn around.
Yeah, likewise.
Oh, I think that those men were very poorly behaved, but it may be possible for us to go back around the bend and simply carry our boats past the blockade.
Kill them in their sleep.
So we'll keep an eye on him as we get out of eye shot of him, right?
Sure. You see, as you turn the boats around and you start heading back the other direction, a few of them go back to. You see, they have these kind of camouflage tents. They're this kind of green canvas that's been kind of covered in various foliages and stuff. And a few of the men move back towards the campsite. The two big tents that they have there, and a few of them remain at the riverbanks, watching over the barricade that they've made in blocking further forward travel down the river Shosen Star.
So once we're out of earshot and eye shot, I say we should stealthily go to shore, hide our canoes, and then sneak up on these motherfuckers and teach them a lesson.
And then Sig, you can give him the real javelin, I think.
I want my javelin back. That guy was very rude. I want to have a chat with him.
And then I start directing the canoe I'm in towards the bank to push my point.
I follow.
Just to be clear, you're not suggesting that we harm these men. Simply, we punish them for their wicked ways, perhaps stealing the gold that they have collected.
Isn't that a form of harm? I mean, I'm not sure what you're getting at.
Well, we don't want to hurt them physically, just perhaps mentally or socially.
Emotionally, yeah.
Socially? Yeah, I'll throw a harmful word at them.
I'm not quite sure.
Viciously mock.
What the difference is between that? I mean, if you're gonna steal from them, why don't you want to physically harm them? I'm sure if you steal from them, they're going to want to physically harm you. So why beat around the
Oh.
bush?
If it comes to that, then we will of course defend ourselves. But
I am with Ayan here. Like, how about you guys stealth? I'll go in and talk to them, and if they get violent, we get violent.
No, I don't understand what the point of that's going to be. Of course they're going to get violent. They already threatened us.
They get a chance to apologize.
I don't. These men don't seem like the apologizing type.
We'll see.
well, perhaps we could simply avoid them altogether by just carrying the canoes through the jungle a little ways away from the river, and then walking back once we pass the blockade.
And then you want to have these guys on our backside.
Point. So maybe we burn their boats or make the river free of their blockade by clearing it.
Which I assure you will lead to physical altercations. My point is, we might as well take the offensive.
How far do you guys go back down river before you pull your boats off?
Earshot, eye shot, and then some for blanket.
So not very far.
I'd say, far enough that we can have a conversation without them sneaking up on us.
Okay.
Glyst will, or sorry, not Glyst. Garn will probably be able to tell if they're following us or if they're, around. If they're trying to keep tabs on us.
That barrier that crosses the river would someone?
Your passive is 21, Garn.
Guard!
Garn does notice they do send somebody to follow upstream. It's not heavily armored like many of the other men were, but a more slight, slender person who seems to be draped in kind of darker leathers. They have a hood up, and they kind of follow along the banks, trying to remain unnoticed in kind of the brush of the jungles. But Garn spots them the whole way. It mostly just looks like they are watching to see if you leave.
If they are going to watch us, perhaps it would be a good idea to simply make it look like we don't know what to do next. If we just make camp here on the bank, we have a loud argument about whether we want to potentially pay the toll, we can throw them off of our trail.
Sure.
I mean, we're pretty far
Recommend
from blockade,
Sigismund,
right, or no?
Well, you go back around the bend to where you're out of sight of the camp, yeah? Out of eye shot.
And that guy's still following us.
Yeah, they follow, they follow for about 300 yards or so, and so they can still see you. Garn knows that they're there, but the rest of you have a hard time actually spotting where they've taken cover in the jungle. They blend in pretty well, but Garn has a pretty good idea of their location, and he seems to think that they're just watching. They haven't left. They remain.
Okay, who's got good charisma scores?
I do.
I do.
Define good.
20.
Enough to, well, yeah, 20
much.
is pretty damn good. But I would recommend that Sigismund and Glyst stage some sort of diversion here. So, like, really undecided about what we want to do, and that the only reason we're pulling our boats aside is because we want to figure out our next move before we head somewhere. The bigger the distraction, the better, because they'll just go back to their camp and say like, "Oh, these guys are idiots. They don't know what they're doing. They're not dangerous." And then we sneak up on them in the night and do whatever.
Yeah, so basically you're trying to make it look like you just can't decide, and you have an argument about whether you should pay the toll, and somebody says something about we don't even have that much money, and
Something like that, just so that we sort of try to convince them that we are not just that
I'd
we're
say I'd say give me 2 deception checks.
And while that's happening, I want to try and use that confusion to slip into a stealthy position and maybe try and flank them.
Okay.
Likewise.
Yeah, so after about an hour of putting on this charade, the scout Garn notices that the scout does head back towards the camp where the barricade is. You guys follow the scout.
I certainly don't.
And it appears that the scout heads back to the camp, has a brief conversation with one of the armored soldiers, and then goes into one of the tents.
So, is Riceak? Do I know where Riceak's at?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh yeah. So I didn't know if we were right next to each other or not. And thieves can't hand sign language or trying to be quiet. I'm like, we should just sit here for a little bit and see if they try and come after us or not.
Yeah, as you watch the camp for a time, after 30 minutes or so, 2 more men come out of the jungles with a dead boar in tow, and they begin to cut it up and roast it over their flame. After they roast the meat for a time, most of the men come into the camp and have a meal, while 2 remain on guard at the barricade. After most of the men have eaten, 2 men go replace the 2 men that were guarding the barricade, and those 2 men go back to the camp and have a meal as well.
So can we get a count on the? Do we happen to figure out a count on how many are at the camp?
You would count 9 armored men, 1 woman who seems to be more of a clerical type. She mostly stays in the camp, going between the 2 tents occasionally. She helps for a time preparing the meat, and then the scout who disappeared into one of the tents and hasn't emerged since. So 11 total.
And where's that scout now?
In this tent here.
So there's no one scouting out in the forest as far as we know?
As far as you know.
Okay. I want to signal to Wuce. I think we should. It would be beneficial to like attack when they're all together because we could use the Garn's thorn spell.
I signal back to him. You don't happen to have that wand of messaging on you, do you?
I think it's in the canoe.
You guys can decide who might have held on to that. I would imagine it's probably not Glyst, because he might just have that spell. But if it's one of you guys, then that's fine.
I can sneak back to the boat.
You gauge now that it's kind of late afternoon. They seem to be having kind of a late lunch here. When the 2 soldiers came out of the jungles from hunting, it doesn't appear that this camp necessarily has a lot of stores, although you don't know what is necessarily in these two large tents. Um, but it does seem like they're hunting in the jungles for food at least, and it also appears that now watching them for a time that they've probably been here for um, a little bit of time. You notice on the far bank of the river, across from them, um, they're I'd say you can now smell it. Maybe the wind briefly changes for a few moments, and you get a waft of decay, um, and 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 you kind of glaze over in that direction, and you can kind of make out a pit of sorts, and it seems like maybe they've killed quite a bit of undead who have tried to come up to the river and check their camp out. But most of the undead are on this far side of the river. There's no undead where their camp is.
Would it benefit us to attack from this side while they're focusing on the undead?
Yeah, I would almost say we should rally. I would say we should rally the troops, and then possibly, have the stealthier people in position. Try and hit the barricades with some sort of fire. And as they're putting that out, that's when we make our move. But
And
we got to talk to the other people in the party, I guess. So would have been nice if if one of us had that wand of messaging on us. You want to do Rochambeau to see who goes back to the group and who stays here?
I'll go back.
All right. Godspeed, amigo.
I mean, personally, I'd love to see a Rochambeau, but that's fine.
How do we do that with dice?
You opposed athletics checks. Whoever gets kicked in the nuts the hardest.
No. Rock, paper, scissors.
Stealthily kicked in the nuts?
Yeah.
All
right,
so
rock,
paper, scissors, and then we'd go 1, 2, 3, shoot, and then we'd both put a number into the chat, and then 2 beats 3, 3 beats 2, 1 beats 3.
Okay.
But also, I mean, if you're just offering to do it, then that works too.
Yeah, I'll just go back.
Something
You
just
want to Rochambeau for fun though?
Sure.
So you get it right. You put 1, 2, or 3 in there, and we say go and hit enter at the same time.
Yep. I'm ready.
1, 2, 3, go. Oh yeah, dude, get out of here.
Okay, so I sneak off back to camp. Or back to the boats.
Yeah, make a stealth check for me.
Sure.
Okay.
Wait, I got this.
You get back to the boats.
Okay, so
Wuce, make a perception check for me. You don't notice anything out of the ordinary.
Okay, so I go back to the guys at the boats.
Uh-huh.
Boys, we have 11 people there. We have one sort of scout, a clerical woman, and 9 guards. The majority of them are kind of seated around a fire eating. One guard on the far side, and what seems to be like a pit of undead. Wuce is scouting ahead right now. I think it would benefit us if we're going to attack. We should hit from the this side of the bank while they're all distracted with their meal.
I must say I agree with Ayan. We can't just murder these people when they haven't been aggressive to us.
Them trying to
Well, they try to get money from us. I could talk to them.
Right. It seems like somewhat of a disproportionate response to kill them for trying to exact a toll from us.
Well, if you want to go talk to them so we can finally decide one way or another of what we're going to do, go talk to them. When they attack you, we'll defend you. So let's get this going.
Yeah,
I'm tired of sitting on my butt scratching it.
it is getting ridiculous.
Okay. Well, let's go.
So Sigismund, you go to walk into the camp alone and have a
No,
conversation with them, or
I would I would say like have the stealthy people take up position just in case.
okay.
I mean, if I can't stealth in anyway. I'm gonna be noticed regardless.
I grab the wand and I stealth back to Wuce.
Yeah, I'd say that
If Sigismund is going, I'll go with them as well.
you guys are then kind of up in this cluster here of brushes.
So then I use Thieves' Cant to update Wuce on the current situation. And Wuce, you might need to be ready to strike, but because it seems like Sig is going to go into the camp by himself and try to negotiate. Oh, by the way, here's the wand.
Thanks. Thank you. So, wait, hold on. Sig's just gonna walk into the camp by himself and do what?
Be an idiot. Oh,
Be
wait a minute. It's out of
bait.
character.
Does he know he's gonna be bait?
I think he does not.
This is basically just like a honeypot trap for our conscience, right? So, like, we intellectually understand that we are probably going to kill these guys, but we just need justification here.
To me, I
Sigismund-
don't need justification.
Alright, I mean, I guess I'm waiting here for them then.
Sigismund, you're up.
All right, I'll start walking towards the camp, and when I get within, when I can see the first one notice me, I'll just go ahoy hoy.
I draw my bow and I lock it on the guy that's in front of Sigmund, and I'm gonna hold until he like acts aggressively. Then I'm gonna fire.
And by the
with
way,
my sling.
Sure.
don't go all the way up there, please.
A few of them stand, looking a little startled when they hear you call out. Um, but then when they see just one of you walking up, um, uh, two of them sit back down, but one turns towards you, and he says, "Come back for your javelin, huh? I think you're gonna have to take a dip in the river for that."
Well, yes, I'll have. We will have to get that javelin for me. Yes, but I'm curious. With whose authority are you exacting this toll on us?
He says, "With my authority. Look, we know that you and your friends are still downriver, having a little squabble about whether you can afford to come past the barricade or not. I can tell you right now, though, you can pay the toll or you can fuck off. We're not letting you
Yes.
pass."
No, you see that's a problem because we need to get past here, and we don't really have the money. So I'm gonna need you to let us pass anyway.
Why would I? Why would I let you do that?
Because me and my friends really want to get to, a place downriver. And what would you do if I tried to say force my way past?
We drowned you in the river.
Okay, I see. Now you're gonna go get my javelin for me here in a second. And then I'm gonna go back to my party, and we're gonna go past this barrier, and you're gonna let us.
So he's not intimidated. Um, he's and he just thinks what you're asking is ridiculous, basically. Some of his men actually begin to laugh between themselves.
Okay.
And he says, if you'd like, I'll help you get your javelin. And he gestures to a couple of his men who stand up, and three of them begin to walk towards you.
I use the wand of messaging to tell Garn to spike growth, and then we start our attack.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
And with the intent of hopefully getting a surprise. Which one of the two that aren't doppelgangers? One of them is a cleric and one of them is a scout. Is the cleric the one to the bottom left of the two, and the scout's the top right of those two?
Yes. And I had rolled a perception check before when you guys were Rochambeauing, and the priest spotted you guys. So she basically alerted the camp of the presence of the rest of you, and there will not be a surprise round. So I'd like you to select your tokens and roll initiative. If you're just gonna fire, I'd say you guys in the brush though can have advantage on your initiative. So you can roll it twice and take the higher.
What about me?
Where are you?
Way in the back, because I don't need to be up there. It's a 150-foot range.
Yeah, just the just a regular initiative roll. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't select my token, but the better of the two is a 20.
A 20, and then Nat's 22 and Riceak 24.
I correct.
Okay. Add turn. 20 for Wuce.
Thank you.
Oh, let's see, Riceak. I need to add a turn for you as well. 24. Okay, Riceak 24, Ayan 22.
Azaka.
Wuce 20. Oh yeah, Azaka.
I like how she was uncharacteristically quiet during this whole thing.
Yeah, that's
or what she thinks of us now, you know.
That's my bad. Well, she doesn't. She would have a negative opinion of these guys trying to toll the riverways. She knows they're not from here. She knows they have no right to do so.
Understands jungle justice.
Yeah. She doesn't. She doesn't.
Jungle justice.
She doesn't disagree at all with your little plan here.
Little JJ action. Little double J.
Because we're about to learn that Sigismund is the law around these parts.
I didn't even get to try to be intimidating.
The problem is mostly that they're so they outnumber you, and they're not necessarily beneath your power level.
No, it's not like it's weird.
Yeah. So Riceak, you're up.
Technique of you trying to go in there and say, okay, here's what's going to happen.
I gave it a shot.
Yeah,
I gave them the chance to be good people.
It is, yes. They. It does. It was brave and had merit, but
foolish is what you're saying.
So I'm gonna target this. It looks like the token looks like an archer of some sort.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna target that with my short bow. And I have guidance on that too, I think.
Not for attack rolls.
Ah, okay. Never mind then.
And your arrow just kind of sails right over the top of her head.
Ah, bollocks. Looks like you're up, boys.
Wait, the scout's a female as well?
Well, it's hard to tell. She got a hood up, but yes.
Ooh.
And then I will, try to blend back into the foliage. And that's my turn.
Ayan.
Wait,
Okay, so we are
go ahead,
not
sir.
currently hidden, right?
It's not considered surprise right now, no.
We
Because the
hidden,
priest
like,
has
when
the priest has spotted you. So
So she made everyone aware, or only she's aware?
no, she made everyone aware in the time between some of the stuff going on, and they tried to seem like they were they didn't notice that you were all there.
So I wouldn't have noticed that she went around and talked to
Well,
everyone.
I had asked for the perception check, but it was not quite high enough.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
So like basically
So-
at this point we'd have to re-hide then.
You know, they know of your presence. You know, maybe they can't necessarily see you directly, but you know, they know that you're there.
hidden and surprised are two different mechanics. So, like, if I make an attack, hidden, can I still do so with advantage?
I'd say you rolled an 18 earlier for stealth to move up.
Technically, a 20 with Garn's guidance.
Okay, so then yeah, I'd say be considered hidden right now.
I'm gonna attack red here with my sling. To hit, and it's gonna be 16 bludgeoning damage there.
And Riceak, you weren't, because you just had a 14 with your stealth plus guidance, which is not quite high enough.
Well, I had arrived back to this area.
Yeah, you rolled a 10 and then got a 4. And since they had been looking out for you, they saw you come back. But they were trying to play it like they didn't know you guys were there.
So I would still be hidden though. I just wouldn't be able to surprise Larry.
What's your your initiative's higher than most of them anyways. But
And then
yeah,
I'm gonna hop over here and try to hide one more time.
so 16 damage on which one? Sorry.
The red.
Marked with the red dot.
Gotcha. 22 is a hit and 16 damage.
Turn.
And the one who had been speaking to you, actually the guy, oh no, I don't think that's him. One of the, the one that just took the sling rushes at you, Sigismund. And he draws his longsword with 2 hands. And he makes 2 attacks at you with them, but you parry them easily with your shield and blade. Azaka draws...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Which of the colors were the ones speaking to me?
The blue guy.
Okay.
Yeah. And now, knowing... you all knowing what you know about Azaka, she doesn't waste any time. She immediately shifts into her hybrid form. As she's running towards the guy in the red, she begins to sprout fur and grows taller in size. And she draws her 2 scimitars, and she makes 2 attacks, just jamming one of her scimitars into one of the exposed places of this guy. She pulls her scimitar out, and her blade is covered in his red blood. And Wuce, you're up.
So back to what we were talking about before.
Yeah, you're hidden.
So Basically, I have to stay within this cover though to remain hidden.
You can hide again at the end of your turn, and I'll take your stealth check into account for the rest of the creatures.
So if I wanted to move to right. Oh man, I can't. To the left of the cleric, could I do that still?
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so I'll try and do a sneak attack on her.
And she has not gone in combat, so it'll be an automatic critical strike.
Oh shit. Finish her.
Okay, so, yeah, 1 second.
Does your sneak attack go up at 4 or 5?
I believe it's 5.
Uh,
Unfortunate, right?
Yeah. So
It's always half your level rounded up, I think.
just make a weapon attack with advantage. Unfortunately, a 12 is a miss. And
So, on a miss, since I have the Stalker race feat, means I remain hidden.
okay. Yeah, so basically, she, like, takes a step forward as you strike out at her with your dagger, and you just miss jamming it into her back. As she's trying to move in closer with her troops, you know. Glyst, you're up. And you just remain there, Wuce?
Yeah, just for future reference, if I was dual wielding there, how would that apply with the whole assassinate and sneak attack with the offhand?
Yeah, you'd be able to make a second strike with your offhand, just minus your proficiency bonus.
If you hit that is eligible for sneak attack, you can do it on any hit that you land in a turn.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna move.
Okay.
To there, and then I'm gonna cast Hold Person on that cleric.
Okay. Wisdom saving
Lovely.
throw, I believe. What's your DC?
My DC is 15.
And she makes her save. Got anything else?
No, I'm done.
Okay. A couple more of the veterans put their meat down, or the and begin moving forward, drawing their blades. The scout crouches down and fires a shot towards you, Glyst, with her longbow. And her bowstring actually snaps, and she tosses it to the ground and draws her short sword.
That was unfortunate.
Good job, Glyst.
And she and then she darts into the jungles, up into the north, into the underbrush. You basically see where she goes. She doesn't like disappear or anything. And Garn, you're up.
Okay, so how do you erase when you draw lines like that?
I can get rid of it.
Okay, erase that real quick because I need to redraw it.
And actually, if you select if you instead of lines, if you select draw shape, it'll just do like a square. Like you can just be like bang, and it'll And I'll try and get a spell effect like the Spiritual Hammer uploaded for that spell.
So everybody but 2 and the scout and the cleric.
Which
That one it's not in. That one is not in it. And the scout is not in it.
yeah.
If you moved it up 2, you'd get that red one in it, it looks like.
Okay, so there we go. Yep, same number of people, so perfect. So it's a
2d4 when they start their turn in it?
yep.
All right.
And then every 5 foot. Now, they're going to know after a couple of steps that it's there. They get a wisdom saving throw right now if you want to give it to them to be able just to notice that it started. And that's a DC of a 15.
One of them notices.
You want to just make it easy and say it's the red one so you can step out of it next time?
Yeah, I'll say that makes probably the most sense since he's like been involved in the most combat already. He's probably more aware of what's going on now. His adrenaline's pumping. And instantly he goes, oh, fuck.
And essentially, and in the way I'm looking at this, because we did this at night, correct?
I don't know if you guys necessarily waited all the way till night. I think it's like the late afternoon right now.
Okay, never mind. I was just making, if it was night, I'd be going, I'm hidden from everything unless they got more than 60-foot dark vision, because I was using the campfire as a light source to be able to see what.
Oh, gotcha, yeah. Yeah, it's still kind of day right now, yeah.
No problem. I'll step back into the forest just to make it just a little bit harder to see me, though.
Okay. Let's see.
That's my action.
All right. This guy's gonna take 2d4 initially, and then 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6. So he's gonna take 8d4 damage.
Damn.
And then he's going to make a couple swings at Azaka here.
Ow!
Fortunately, Azaka has immunity to non-magical weapons and takes 0 damage from those attacks.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She's got like 900 hit points.
Because that guy's sword is definitely not magical. Yeah, damage immunity, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical, not made with silver weapons. And so...
We should have just sent Azaka into the camp by herself to scare these guys away.
The guy's sword, like, basically slashes down the front of Azaka, and she just, like, snarls at him and lets out a tiger roar, and I think the guy, like, pisses his pants a little bit. So this guy down here, orange, he also takes 8d4. Then he moves about 3 steps and he realizes this is hurting like a motherfucker.
'Ow!
Damage.
Wow.
And he lets go of his longsword, or he sheathes his longsword, and he draws his crossbow from off his back, and he fires it at Azaka, because they still don't know. They have no idea.
That Thardhar's presence is in the jungle.
Yep. Let's see. 2, 4, 6. This guy takes 64. And then he stumbles across you, Riceak, and Makes 2 longsword attacks.
Miss. Hit.
So 7 slashing damage to you, Riceak.
Got it.
And
Ouch.
let's see. Oh, that guy's across the river. So this guy comes across the planks of the barricade. And I don't know. He can kind of see now that there's like an area of growth there or not. Like.
It's a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So he'll
Of
make
the
his
15.
to notice it. He'll make his wisdom save, and he's like, "Better not do that." I see most of these guys are yelling out in pain as they run forward through the jungle, and so he does the same. He draws his crossbow from his back and he fires it up towards Azaka and Sigismund, but it kind of goes right between you two. And then the priest is up. And she'll make a wisdom save first to notice. She does not notice. So she'll step forward a few steps and take 2, 4, 48.
And Wuce gets an attack of opportunity.
And does not disengage. So, Wuce, you did an attack of opportunity as she moves away.
Oh,
Boom, critical.
damn!
Okay. She's going to be dead for sure. But go ahead,
Lovely.
roll your attack. And 46 sneak as well. Plus an extra d8. Okay, so that's enough damage for sure. And Wuce, you kind of pounce out of the brush and like scramble up onto her back and just jam your dagger down or your rapier down into her chest, piercing her heart. She kind of tumbles forward into the thorny vines, and you land on her back.
And since the stalker thing, it also applies to crit hits as well, so I'm still hidden.
Nice.
I look at one of my party members who sees me, and I just do the whole shh with my finger to my mouth.
Sigismund, you're up.
Okay. First up, as a bonus action, Shield of Faith on myself.
Okay.
And with my action, you're gonna have to make a ruling here. If I use, sorry, hold on. If I use the command spell, meaning I can issue a one-word command and they'll follow it, like approach or drop or flee or whatever. Would he understand the command if I point at the blue guy and go fetch and point at my javelin?
Yeah, it's not causing him harm, so yeah, he'd probably go after it.
Yeah, but he would take a lot of damage running through the field of.
He might stop. He might
thing.
stop after a few steps. He would go for it and take some damage running that way, and then that would probably snap him out of your command. But he would go for it.
Yeah, he'll spend his next turn doing that. Then I'll use a command on him.
Which one of the guys was it?
The blue one, the one who was speaking to me.
So let's see. I wouldn't consider this necessarily him starting his turn. So he'll go take the 44, and he'll get to just outside of it, and then he'll be like, "Wait, what? That hurt a lot. What am I even doing with my life?" And he'll take 13 damage running through there. And then he'll turn back up and look towards you. Got anything else?
Not unless I can use my reaction to flip him the bird as he looks at me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah. I'll do that, and that's my turn.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. This guy takes 3 steps. And takes 8d4. And then he draws his crossbow and fires it at Riceak. The bolt just zings over your head there, Riceak. And,
Yes.
this guy, 1, 2, 3, takes 8d4. And does the same.
Spike growth spell is no joke, man.
That's crazy.
And Riceak, you take 7 piercing damage as his bolt sinks deep into your left thigh. And you're up again at the top of the order.
Okay. Let's see here. 20. All right, I'm going to stow my bow, draw my scimitars, and move towards this scout. Actually,
Sorry.
actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to draw my scimitars and move towards this guy that's attacking Azaka.
Okay. Green.
Yeah. So it would be something like here. Right. So with my main weapon, it will be
Yeah, that's
utterly ridiculous. And my offhand, what is wrong with my rolls?
Well,
Jesus fucking Christ.
your first blow, he sees you coming and he kind of turns towards you and he parries your attack and he kind of twists his blade, causing you to basically lose your grip on the handle of your scimitar and it goes flying a few feet into the spike growth. And your second attack misses him.
So then I will take my scimitar, put it in my other hand, and draw my dagger, disengage with that guy, and move back into the bushes towards Glyst.
Sure. Make a stealth check for me.
Sure.
Get off me.
Now I roll well. What the hell is wrong with this?
Well, you do in the chaos disappear into the foliage. So I'd say on your top of your next round, you'll have advantage on your attack.
Well, it doesn't really matter if I have advantage, but yeah, it's okay.
Well, you get a double roll, so that 5 becomes a 23 in that case, you know.
Well, I'm saying because I roll like shit anyway, so.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Ayan.
Find a way to fuck it up. All right, so
It was it was those 4 crits at the very start of the session that everyone rolled, you know.
Yeah.
So far mojo. I'm gonna go ahead and pop out of hiding and attack the red guy again here with my sling. 17 to hit.
15. So I think the red guy is using his sword in 2 hands, so that does hit. Because he doesn't. He doesn't have his shield out currently.
15 bludgeoning there.
15. Nice.
Bludgeoning damage, and then I'm gonna
Man, 3 rogue party with that spike spell, man, it's just an insane amount of damage output.
Do a unique thief action here, using my fast hands. Use an object as my forget what you call it, a cunning action.
Yeah, cunning action.
I'm going to use an object. I'm going to pull out a handful of ball bearings. About 25 feet into this spike growth area, and I'm trying to figure out how to draw shape here.
Let's see. Here, maybe I have something better. Don't draw anything quite yet.
I'm drawing a shape here by accident. I apologize.
That's all right.
But Tiny, I was trying to point.
Over here.
I'm gonna throw it like here, so that when
Okay,
these guys
sure.
continue to try to exit, like I'm gonna try and. So let me post ball bearings go here. So that's what they do.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So on their turn, they'll make the deck save, and possibly fall prone.
Area for a little bit longer since they're close to the edge.
Yeah. And is that it?
Might as well try to maximize this. I'll go 5, 10, 15, 20. I'm gonna get up here and I'll get about, if I can, like 5 feet up in this tree.
I'd say since you I'd say move and climb. No, you know what? If you have movement left, you can do it.
I do have a climbing speed, just as a reminder.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
That
Give me a go ahead.
Helps.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a just an acrobatics check.
Okay. This bitch.
Yeah, and you do. You get yourself shimmied up about 5 feet up the tree there. No problem. Guy in front of you, Sigismund, with his sword gripped in 2 hands, angrily slashes at you twice with his weapon, just crashing hard into your shield 2 times. Azaka turns towards the one that just struck at you twice with her scimitars, slicing into him once for 6 damage. And that guy's bleeding from a couple decent wounds now, as well as he has thorny spines sticking out from his boots, and he doesn't look too happy. Wuce.
My plan is to try and sneak up on the scout now.
Okay, yeah. You're pretty much considered hidden. And a 23 is a hit.
Nice.
For 12 piercing.
I don't get sneak attack damage, right?
I don't.
You rolled with advantage, so yes, you do.
Because you're stealthed, right? Yep. And you just drive your. She's kind of facing Glyst there, and you drive your rapier into her back, just coming out her front of her belly and her slender body. She falls down dead, kind of slides off your rapier into the ground.
And then as my cunning action, I'm gonna attempt to hide again.
And,
so I'll roll stealth again.
Yeah, roll stealth, and then Glyst, you're up.
All right.
You have all those guys under the ball bearings too.
Yeah, there's 2 guys under the pile of ball bearings there.
I'm gonna cast Bane on
I was trying to remember a good Bane quote, but I failed you guys. Sorry.
I was born in the dark.
I'm gonna cast Bane on the green dot, the red dot, and I guess the one that is not dotted at all.
Glyst, I will give you an inspiration for having to deal with 7 Bane quotes on your turn.
You're welcome.
I don't know what to say. Usually, I'm the one that's supposed to inspire people.
So green guy, red guy, and which guy?
The one that's closest to Sigismund.
Okay.
On the right.
Unmarked. Because I ran.
Yes, unmarked.
Because I ran out
Yes.
of colors. Yeah. So, they have to make wisdom saves, correct?
It's actually a charisma save.
Charisma saves. Okay. I don't believe these guys are too charismatic. Your DC is 15, so they all fail. The one thing I dislike about Bane is, like, it's supposed to be the opposite of Bless, and Bless, you know, people just get blessed. They don't have to make any saves or anything. Bane sucks because they get to make a save. Like, I think it should just happen, you know?
Yeah, like just be the opposite of bless.
And actually, I think that's how it is. They don't need to make the saves for that. They just get baned.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Wow,
That's
jeez, I got
okay.
inspiration.
I'm the
Don't have to
DM.
make
I'm the DM.
saves.
I'm the DM, right? I can.
That's right.
You are.
I can say what's up. Yeah. So those guys are basically get negative 1d4 to their attack rolls and saving throws.
That's going to be a spell I'm going to be taking now.
And then
Yeah.
I'm done. That's it.
Okay, cool.
Would Bane stack, like, if both of them use it on the same?
No, I don't.
turn?
It wouldn't stack. No.
But
I was curious.
I could get 3 other creatures with it. That's the big thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It'll stack if I cutting words one of those guys.
Yep.
Damn.
So I'm guessing neither of those hit you. 14 misses. So one of the guys charges up towards you, Sigismund, and tries to make 2 attacks. The guy in the ball bearings, one of these guys in the ball bearings, makes a dex save first as he takes a step forward and falls prone. He takes also 2d4 damage and just gets totally fucked.
So that means when he gets back up, he takes 2d4 just to get back on his feet, right?
He uses half his move to stand up. I'd say just falling prone in the spike growth, having to use 15 feet of his movement to get up, he'll just take an extra 6d4.
Spell is fucking crazy.
Don't fall down on the spikes.
Yeah, no shit.
Oh dang! If that's the
Resident
case,
gardener.
we need a grappler to like body slam people into it.
I'm probably being generous with how much damage these guys take from this shit, but then he draws his crossbow because he's like, fuck this, and fires it at you, Riceak. 15.
I'm hidden. I'm hidden. So what's his passive perception? Because I rolled a natural 20.
Yeah, no, that's my bad. So
Probably not good enough to even see you.
Yeah, he fires it at you, Glyst. So if a 15 hits, 11 piercing damage.
Can I cutting words that?
Sure.
Let me hear your best insult, please.
What are these guys? I never heard what they were.
They're Flaming Fist mercenaries. They are humans mostly.
Oh well,
it appears
that's
to be-
easy.
Yeah.
That's easy. Just take your flaming fist and jam it right where you know it belongs.
Right in the flaming fist.
Yeah.
Sorry, I haven't been being true to my character today a little bit. So let me say that one more time. Take your flaming fist and jam it right up your ass.
Yeah. And, and it's a D. So his attack roll gets reduced by 4, right?
Yep.
So 11 is a miss, and he momentarily has a thought of what it would feel like to have a flaming fist up his ass, and he kind of points his crossbow up into the air and kind of fires, and the arrow sails like over your heads.
To be fair, Ryan, I think I'm a D6, not a D8. That's my accident. My bad.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, it's all right. And
It's emotion in the ocean.
yeah. And Garn, you're up.
Garn likes where he's at because no one's fired at him. And he's going to cast as a bonus action Spiritual Hammer. And I'm going to try to hit the red one.
Yep. Go ahead and make your attack roll with it.
Uh, 24 to hit for
Yeah.
7 points of damage.
Absolutely. And he just gets whacked in the back by your large spiritual branch, almost falling forward. It strikes him with such force.
And I'm not going to try to pull out my crossbow because I like my shield, and so that's my turn.
All right. This guy takes 2d4. The start of his turn. And continues to fearfully attack Azaka. And he slices into her again, and it seems to have just no effect. He feels the blade just jam into her tough skin and not go anywhere. And Azaka kind of she's one of her blades and brings up her claw and like contracts or shows her sharp claws out of her hybrid tiger claw, and just grins at the guy. And he lets out a large gulp. This guy makes a dex save as he moves forward, falls prone, takes 2, 4, 6, 8 d4 damage, and
I'm
fires.
gonna go back and calculate how much damage that has done.
161.
Fuck me.
He fires his crossbow at Glyst there, and it just zings past you, striking into a tree nearby. The blue guy, which I believe is the one that was originally conversing with you, right, Sigismund, and that you've pissed off.
That's the blue one, yeah.
Yeah. He draws his longsword in 2 hands and angrily makes 2 attacks at you for 18 total damage.
Alright.
He's got just like spit flying out of his mouth, and his teeth are gritting as he just rams into you with his longsword in both of his hands. I believe this guy is the one that made his save to notice that this thing is here, the spike growth.
Yes.
Yeah, and he fires across the jungle floors at the only person that he can really see now, which is Glyst. And again, just right next to the other bolt, another one sinks into a tree next to you there, Glyst. And Sigismund, you're up.
Alright. I am going to ignore the blue guy. Just completely ignore him and hit the red person. Just...
Okay, yeah, sure.
No. 10.
10 is a miss.
Yeah, it's my turn.
And I need 2 Constitution saves from you for your armor.
No. Oh boy.
And so your shield drops.
Alright.
I believe these guys are now just fighting with their crossbows. They don't really want to fire into their guys, so they continue to fire at you, Glyst. Another miss, just singing through the foliage, crossbow bolts whizzing past your head. 2 more. 16 is hit, yeah, for 5 piercing damage. And Riceak, you're up.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to approach this guy here and attack him. That would be a... Oh, this needs to be edited.
Hey, Ryan, I got a roll, by the way.
Oh, no worries. Yeah. We'll catch you next week, hopefully.
No, I didn't. I meant I have to roll because I have a concentration spell.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
I misunderstood that too.
Make a con save for me. Yeah.
Do I get a... Sorry to interrupt. Do I get a guidance on this?
No.
Not for attack rolls, no.
Okay.
Green guy has his shield out, but I believe you're from stealth, so you're rolling with advantage, so 24 is a hit.
All right. And I get a sneak attack as well. That's pathetic. So 8
what's
damage.
your dex, man?
My dex is 18.
Yeah, I don't think you're adding your dex bonus to your damage. Your
He's not.
Yeah, it's just
Rapier.
it's just adding 1d6 plus 1 for your magical scimitar. So,
that was originally my offhand, so that's why it's not adjusted. So that the damage should be 6 plus 6, so 12.
Well, it should be 1d6 plus your dex modifier, plus 1 for magical bonus.
Okay, so that's well, I rolled a 2, so then I get
Plus 4.
I get plus 4, so that's 6, plus 1, so 7, plus the sneak attack, so that's 13. And then I have my offhand, which is a dagger. There you go.
24 is a hit.
And 5 damage. So 13 and 5 is 18, and I will disengage and go back into the bush.
Nice. And Ayan, you're up.
Do you want me to
I
roll
wanna
another
keep on trying
stealth?
Well, you disengaged, so that was your cunning action.
Okay. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
You climbing up this tree, and would it be possible for me to hide in the branches at all?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry. Do I get my sneak attack on that second weapon?
No, because you got it for the first one.
Yeah, just once per round.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
And so if you can get an opportunity attack during the round as well, you could potentially get 2 sneak attacks. Just
Okay.
tactical situation to keep in mind in case we can finagle opportunity attacks down the road.
I love good finagling.
Yeah, good finagling. Yeah, exactly, like what Wuce did. I'm going to climb up the tree, I'm going to try to hide, and then I'm going to pop out and attack the gentleman in red one more time, just trying to get him down.
13 is a miss.
I miss him. Okay. So then that's going to be my turn.
Yeah, it just kind of pings off his armor. And red guy attacks you, Sigismund, with his blade. 18 and 17.
Nope.
And Azaka with her scimitars drives her blade into the throat of the red guy, all the way down into the hilt, and turns and makes an attack towards green, and kind of swishes over his head And Wuce, you're up.
I'm going to sneak attack on green.
13 is a miss. Oh no, sorry, that's Azaka. .22 hits.
For 12.
Yeah, and you find a little piece of exposed area between his armor plates, and you jam your rapier right into his side.
Oh yeah?
And
Is he still up then?
Yep.
Can I attempt to hide in this cover I'm in right now?
Yeah,
With the cutting action?
I'd say you'd have a disadvantage just being right next to him and having just stabbed him with your blade.
Well, then can I use my offhand to try and dagger attack him?
Sure. So it'd be minus your proficiency.
I'm guessing it's still a miss.
Yeah. Yes. And Glyst, you're up. Unless you're gonna disengage or anything.
Well, I can't because I used my offhand, right?
Nope.
That's right.
You can make an offhand attack. That doesn't consume your cunning action.
Oh, it doesn't?
Nope.
Okay, yeah, then I'll just... Wait, no, I can't move anyway, I guess.
Well, you can go into dodge.
You can disengage.
What's dodge do again?
It's like defensive bonuses.
Yeah.
That's considered an action, though.
Yeah, it's an action.
I can disengage, but I've used all my move up to get here.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. Then Glyst, you're up.
Okay.
I guess I could hide from everyone except for him, though, right?
I'd say just you're engaged in melee, so I don't think so.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Did you hear me, Glyst?
I did.
Oh, okay,
I'm gonna
cool.
move. I'm gonna go to there and cast Bane on blue, unmarked, and green.
Nice. Two attacks against you there, Sigismund. That 24 is going to hit you even if he crits on that Bane. So 9 slashing damage.
Alright.
And this yellow guy down here, again, makes a dex save in the ball bearings as he's just kind of like trying to walk on marbles right now. Takes 2d4 at the start of his turn. Falls down, takes another 3d4. For 15 total damage. And then fires his crossbow now at you, Wuce. 17 to hit for 3 piercing.
Thank you.
And Garn, you're up.
I've seen Sig get a lot of hits, so I'm gonna start moving toward him. On the one that's in front of him that does not have a token or a color, I'm gonna cast Toll of the Dead, DC 15 Wisdom save. No damage, and then the Spiritual Hammer will hit him.
Same guy?
Same guy.
Okay, cool. And 11 is a miss as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's my action.
Alright. This guy takes a 2d4. Green guy here. Reduces his HP from 8 to 2. And turns towards Wuce now that he has a new target that's not Azaka, who seemingly cannot be damaged by his meager weapon. And makes 2 attacks against you, Wuce. 14 to hit for 9 slashing, 22 to hit for 7. His last desperate, wild swings. Do those hit you?
The second one hits me for sure.
Is that the green guy?
7
Oh,
slashing.
the yellow guy?
Already took the damage.
The green guy.
Already took the damage.
Okay. Orange
He's
takes...
Bane, right?
Oh yeah. So would a 18 still hit you?
The green guy I meant, Ryan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
An 18 would still hit you, right?
Yes.
Okay. So even if he critted on the Bane, the attack would still hit Wuce. Orange makes a dex save. Does not fall prone. Still takes 2d4 damage. I'm gonna have to make a 2d4 damage macro. And fires his crossbow at Wuce. Just going over the top of your head there. Blue guy with his sword in 2 hands, gripped tightly, spit flying out of his mouth, grinding his teeth down. Makes 2 long swords attacks at you, Sigismund, both missing. You parry them both with your shield easily. And guy in the far back fires a crossbow bolt at you, Wuce. 19 for 6 piercing. And Sigismund, you're up.
Hooray. Yeah, I'll just take a swing at the guy in front of me, I think. 16?
16 is a miss.
Damn it. And then I'll use my bonus action to Shield of Faith missiles.
Okay. And another 2d4 coming in. And the crossbow bolt shot at Wuce. And another 2d4 damage coming in. And a crossbow bolt shot at Wuce. Both flying just in the foliage beside you. And Riceak, you're up. I think this is like round 6 now.
Who's shooting at me?
These 2 guys, pink and purple.
Gotcha.
So I will move as stealthily as possible to this position, and then I will sheath my dagger and scimitar and draw my short bow and take a shot at this yellow guy that's in the ball bearings.
Okay.
Does that hit?
15 does hit because they all have their crossbows out.
And that's within 30 feet. And I have my Swashbuckler feature, which
you'll,
provides me sneak attack.
Yep, absolutely.
So... Get 5 and sneak attack. 12 damage, and then I will attempt to hide again.
17. All right. Yeah, your arrow sinks right into the little exposed bit above his armor, just below his neck, right in his breastplate. He kind of makes a gurgling noise and doesn't quite fall down dead, but he's like staring down at that arrow sticking out of his neck now. And Ayan, you're up.
Great. Tell me what I need to do to jump down Prince of Persia style on top of the blue guy.
I'd say there's not quite enough tree density here to get close enough for another one of those right now in the current terrain.
Right, I can't pull it out in every session. All right, we'll use the sling here amongst the tree branches, just like I did last time. Back with my sling. That'll be 21 to hit if he doesn't see a 19 stealth.
Yeah, 21 hits.
13 bludgeoning damage here.
That's at the blue guy, right?
The end of my turn and possibly the dick jokes for the round.
And
there's no chance of that.
Azaka uses a claw attack at the green guy and just slashes a large portion of his face clean off, and he falls down dead. And then with her other offhand makes an attack against the other guy in front of you there, Sigismund, with her remaining scimitar, and just rakes it down the side of his arm, and he begins to bleed out through the tunic he's wearing. First time this guy's actually hit this entire combat.
Which guy?
The guy directly in front of Sigismund.
Not colored.
But blue's looking pretty fucked, huh?
Blue's looking pretty fucked. Yeah. Most of the guys in the spike are looking pretty fucked too. Half or better dead. And Wuce, you're up.
Alright, for my, I'm gonna use my cunning action first to try and hide.
Yeah, you can do that. There you go.
And then I'm going to maneuver to the top right corner of blue without getting within the reach of the non-colored guy to not provoke attack opportunity. I can kind of bow around and still get there instead of going straight across.
Yep.
And then I'm going to, do some attacks on this guy.
Nice.
13 is a miss, unfortunately. Even though this guy has his sword in two hands. But a 24 is a hit.
It would actually be a 22 because I don't get proficiency on that.
Oh, yeah. Well, 22 is a hit.
Awesome.
And you'll get your sneak attack as well.
You don't have proficiency in daggers, like simple weapons?
It's my offhand. Since I'm using
offhand doesn't get the attribute damage.
I have to take a feat to get it.
Right.
Okay.
14 total damage. And Glyst, you're up, and that's your turn, Wuce. Cunning
That's
action,
my turn.
move, 2 attacks.
Yeah, I'm done. He's still up, huh?
Just
This
barely. He's got
this
3 HP left.
Yeah, I guess, would I be able to tell which one looks more severely injured, the dotted blue or the undotted?
The blue has taken quite a beating for sure. And he's the one that you have the best vantage on. But you just watched Wuce jam his blade deep into the guy's side.
I guess I'll move there to get a better line of sight on the one who's not blue. And cast Dissonant Whisper.
DC 15 Wisdom save. He passes.
And yeah, I think that does it. Oh well.
Takes
He's
half
half
damage.
damage.
Yeah, he still takes half, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have to move away.
True. You want a song?
From you, Rito, definitely.
The guy in front of you there, Sigismund, makes 2 attacks at you with his longsword. On his second strike, you kind of move. You kind of open your guard and almost like feint him, and he thinks he's going to strike you. But at the last moment, you bring your shield back in, just knocking him in his temple with it, and he drops his weapon.
Get fucked.
And I believe this guy is going to die, because on the start of his turn he takes 2d4 spike growth damage, and that's just enough. He has 4 HP left, and he falls down dead. Ball bearings guy. And Garn, you're up.
The one that's been hurt, the blue guy, do Toll of the Dead on. So DC 15 for 5 points of damage. And then the one that's in front of Sig, I'm going to use the Spiritual Hammer.
Nice.
For 8 points of damage.
Solid hit.
Straight into his back. Clangs into him, and he lets out kind of a oof as he gets whacked.
And if it wasn't for the fact these guys would still be taking damage, I'd drop that spell in a heartbeat.
Yeah. So this guy at orange takes 2d4. Oh, whoops.
And he's still in the ball bearings, though.
Yeah, but I believe that the 6 is exactly how many hit points he has left, and he also falls dead.
Yay.
And purple guy takes 2d4. And he's going to make a morale check here. And he holds his ground and fires a bolt. On your last turn, did you make any stealth checks, Riceak?
I did.
Do you happen to remember the result of that?
I'm scrolling up right now. $22.
22. Okay, since most of these combatants have fallen, he will fire at you, Sigismund. And it just plinks off your armor. And this guy at the very back of the whole battle makes a Constitution save, and he begins to flee into the undead side of the jungle. And Sigismund, you're up.
Alright, I will take a swing at the guy in front of me. 22.
Is a hit. 7 damage.
Yeah.
And 2d4 here for this purple guy. And this combat's gonna wrap up pretty shortly here, hopefully, so thanks for hanging on here, guys. And then fires a bolt at you, Sigismund. And his buddy does so as well. Takes 2d4. And 22 for 9 piercing, as it finds a place between the links of your armor. And Riceak, you're up.
Okay, so I will draw my bow and... Well, actually, I will move forward. Why is my map? Okay. Move forward there. And then that will put me within range of the purple guy. And I will shoot the short bow at him.
Which is a hit.
There you go. And for the end of my turn, I will attempt to hide again.
Okay. Ayan, you're up. 22 stealth.
Did you read the thing I mentioned, Dave?
Say again?
Scroll up and read the comment I made.
Oh. Yeah, that's a pretty good
You
idea.
can set the other reasons.
Will be good enough to hide from this guy standing in front of Sigismund.
I'd say yes. He's preoccupied.
24 to hit him, and that's going to be 8 bludgeoning damage there.
Yeah, right into his temple. Azaka goes in with a claw and a scimitar for 14 total. She claws into his throat and then just jams her scimitar into his belly. And she's kind of got him held there, Wuce, for you to come in and finish the job.
Okay, real quick. Is it sunny out? Is it overcast?
It's a little overcast.
So if I stood next to Sig, would I be in direct sunlight?
No, I don't think so.
I'm gonna use a cunning action to try and... I guess I don't have to hide. No, I'll try and hide though. Wait, hold on, let me think about this. To get the sneak attack, yeah, I'll try and hide now. And then I'll try and come up on this guy and do my attack.
Yeah, this is a hit. How do you finish him off?
Is he wearing a hood, a cloak? You said.
He's wearing a cloak, yeah.
I try and use the cloak and grab it, fling it around his head, and then use that to pull him into my blade, kind of thing.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and Azaka lets go as you do so, and you just pull him down onto your rapier, and he kind of gurgles and spats out some blood. And Glyst, you're up.
I'm gonna move back into the cover.
Okay, yeah, sure.
It just leaves the little pinky purpley guys down there?
Yep. I believe that you would, Sigismund.
Okay.
Oh, yes, you would. If you wait a minute, I'll get rid of it.
Oh, you mean
When I
killing
moved
10 out of 13 people wasn't enough?
Say that again.
I was just making fun of that you basically killed all these people.
Thard Hart did that.
Alright.
Hey, I did some killing myself, man.
I'll give you an inspiration there, Garn, for giving the credit to your deity.
Hey, I took out 3 people too.
And then I'm gonna phase step as a bonus action.
Hold on, I gotta go check the door real fast. I think someone's at the door.
Yo.
Oh shit. Do you still have the total amount of damage you've done?
Dave, does that make sense to you?
I'm not seeing what you're talking about. Feats and traits section.
So on the character sheet, right, bottom right.
Yeah. Okay, I see it. Yeah.
So above that, there's 2 little fields.
Yeah, I have one for arrows.
So the other one you can make current stealth and just put the number in there. I currently have the one for inspiration, the other one for current stealth.
So just for the sake of we're almost an hour long here now, and we only have these 2 guys left. I'm just gonna assume that you guys basically finished them off, and we can run through just at the end of the session here. We'll do XP and loot real quick, and then we'll wrap up the game for this week. But nice job. So 1,141 experience each.
And 211 damage for how much the spike growth did.
I imagine Garn instantly cast Detect Magic.
Yes.
And he would find that the guy, the blue guy, his sword is emanating a magical glow. It would be a +1 longsword. You also notice something that's tumbled out of one of the pockets or something of one of these guys, which I just gotta look up real quick here.
Does that make sense, Dave?
No, I'm sorry, I don't really understand how you changed that field. It just says class resource.
Yeah, so in the total area, just type next to it current stealth, and then above the other resources, just put the number for your current stealth.
So hanging from the neck of the scout, there's a horn that is also emanating a magical glow, and this is a horn of silent alarm. This horn has 4 charges. When you use an action to blow it, one creature of your choice can hear the horn's blare, provided the creature is within 600 feet of the horn and not deafened. No other creature hears the sound coming from the horn. The horn regains 1d4 expended charges daily at dawn.
That's pretty nice.
It's called Horn of what?
Horn of silent alarm.
Okay, everybody that was hurt, you get 28 hit points back.
Thank you.
And let's see, there were 11 guys. So you find between the men themselves 64 gold, as well as a purse in one of the tents that contains 300 gold from what you can only assume is collecting tolls on the rivers.
So that's what we find in the tents?
Uh-huh.
And then,
364 GP.
is there anything on their persons that identify them as the bleeding fists?
The cloaks.
Only their cloaks. Yeah.
I'm gonna collect as many of the cloaks as possible. So no rings or any sort of like other item besides the cloaks, then, right?
Not that would identify them as Flaming Fist mercenaries. No.
All right, cool. I'll collect those cloaks.
Yeah.
I'm guessing there's one per person.
So nine of them were wearing the Flaming Fist cloaks. All the soldiers, the priest and the scout were not wearing them.
So only 8 then, because one ran off,
Because
right?
one escaped. Yeah.
And then on top of that, are any of them carrying like a rapier?
Mostly short swords and long swords, as well as heavy crossbows.
We collect the heavy crossbows or the longbows, because those things are worth a lot of money.
Yeah, 8 heavy crossbows. They each had a heavy crossbow. 7 regular long swords, 1+1 long sword, as well as 8 short swords.
Can you repeat the long swords?
7 regular, 1 magical, +1 longsword.
Okay. Got it.
And the scout had a longbow, and the priest just had a regular morning star.
So the priest didn't have anything of magic on her?
Nope. She had a holy symbol, which is hanging from her neck. But if anybody, Sigismund, why don't you give me a perception check? So hanging from the priest's neck, the holy symbol that she's wearing, you notice a 3-pronged flanged mace, kind of made from silver, that you would recognize.
Motherfucker.
And I think we'll wrap this session up right there.
God damn.
So
Did
thanks
you
for
kill one of your clergy?
Thanks for hanging in. No, it's not one of his clergy, but maybe next week he can talk about it.
Yeah, I can elaborate next week.
Yeah. But yeah, nice. Thanks for hanging out for that extra hour there, guys. I know that was a slugfest, but nice job.
I'm grabbing one of the short swords.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the rivers are clear.
Woo! Yeah.
Hey, Rito.